First and foremost, before we get started, I like to give all praises and honor and glory to Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahweh Shai, Ba'ashem, Rekah Quadash, and double honors to those great millstone, while launches truth, and also to those elect that are scattered abroad. I like to say, Shalom. Come back here today with another great and powerful lesson through the spirit and the power of Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahweh Shai. And the title of today's lesson is "The Devil Shall Cast Some of You into Prison." So I like to say shalom to all our listeners and learners. Hope this helped you today and guide you back in the path of righteousness and back to your true power, which in fact is Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahweh Shai. So before we start today's lesson, have a quick news article here by Fox 13 Tampa Bay. And it reads, it says, Florida fast tracks alligator Alcatraz detention centers in the Everglades. Let's get a little bit more. Let's get some of these key points here. It says here, it said Florida is seizing a remote airfield in the Everglades to build a 5,000 bed immigration detention center. The project is being carried out under emergency powers signed by Governor Ron DeSantis. It says critics, including Representative Maxwell Frost, says the site is inhumane. It said while supporters argue the system is overwhelmed. Let's get a little bit more. It says here, Tallahatchie, Florida. It said Florida is now using emergency powers to take over a remote 30 square mile site in the Everglades to build what some is calling alligator Alcatraz. So right here, we know that they constantly talking about this deportation. Also, they saying about their, trying to get a handle on this immigration. Making sure everyone, that's coming in, that they're legal. So it's a lot of things that are going on, with this. And also now they're saying that they're gonna try to put this fast track this the so-called immigration detention center, which in fact, the men of the Lord, we know that this is a concentration camp, and one thing about it that we know that the devil is getting ready to come down with great wrath. So right here, alligator Alcatraz. So we already know about the original Alcatraz, Alcatraz Island, which in fact was in the San Francisco Bay. So we know at that particular time, it was like an ironclad prison whereby, it was pretty much impossible to escape, but had some people to escape. So it was a movie called Escape from Alcatraz. I had to watch that movie. But anyway, so they named it after that. And also they were saying that there's only thing that is out there is alligators and pythons. So if they do try to escape, they saying that these alligators or these pythons will be their fate. So, we're seeing right now this devil is moving at warp speed. And also we know that he is targeting people of color. And also now we know that it has started first with the northern tribe. We know that it's going to come to the southern tribe, which in fact are what they call African American or Negro. We know that it's fast approach. We're not ignorant of Satan's devices. It says that what we know, it said the site is located at a abandoned day colony training and transition airport. So it's on old airport field. It's an old airport. We put it like that. See what else it got here. It said the Florida Division of Emergency Management confirmed in a June 23rd letter to the Miami-Dade Mayor, Danila Levine Caval, said that it is immediately occupying the property to support federal immigration enforcement. Said the state said the site will hold up to 5,000 immigration and detainees and will operate under the current state emergency construction, said is already underway. So we've seen a little picture of it right here. They already setting it up. So, this is a fast track, to house 5,000 people or more. So we already knowing that right now the devil's getting ready to come down with great wrath with cat. And he said, when you go to Revelation chapter 2 and verse 10, he said, he shall cast some of you into prison in these what you call FEMA camp, these concentration camp, these facilities, we seeing right now, they constantly lining these things up saying for, immigration detention center, to anyone that's coming in illegal and all this and that. So we already knowing about the birthright citizen system. We'll get that one in a minute too, so we don't want to jump the gun. So we seeing right here now they constantly want to house people, and they putting them in a remote area of Florida, which is these out the Everglades, which in fact is pretty much like a swamp. So, if they try to escape, they saying that the alligator, is really alligator infested. So why do they want to put people here? We already know the devil what his schemes are, so a lot of people that gonna go through those facilities are not going to come out of them. We already know we're coming upon that time. And also we know that they get ready to bring forth this new digital infrastructure. We're not being able to buy or sell. A lot of people going to be placed in these facilities like this. They're going to have to make a decision. Or in order to become a citizen of the United States, you would have to take this in your right hand or in your forehead. So a lot of these things are getting ready to come into play. So, they'll cast some of you in the prison. Also feed you things being idols, which in fact is that grain of rice. So we know that we're very close. Let's see, can we get a little of this video right here? Let's see, can I pull it up a little bit? Let's get a little of this video. See, can I get it to play?
Of the Everglades, nicknamed Alligator Alcatraz.
This new immigration detention center is now escalating.
It's a rural swamp site in the middle of the Everglades, nicknamed Alligator Alcatraz, and it's drawing fire from Democrats and migrant advocates. Fox 13's Matt McClellan is live for us in Tampa with the latest on the pushback and what Florida officials are saying about all this. Good morning.
Good morning. That nickname, Alligator Alcatraz, Laura, coming straight from Florida Attorney General James Othmeyer. The state did not wait for permission on this. Governor DeSantis this week activating those emergency powers to take over control of this abandoned airport, and it's being turned into a 5,000-bed detention center. The state says it's already underway. The Florida Division of Emergency Management on Monday sending a letter to Miami-Dade officials announcing the state's immediate intent to occupy the property. The letter says Florida must act swiftly to meet demands from federal immigration agencies and that this is a temporary measure under the active state of emergency.
So that's all we're going to get of that report. What we're seeing right now, they're moving in warp speed. All of a sudden now, they want to house these people, want to get people out of the country. But we already knowing that they had an open door policy not a couple of years back, over the last 3 or 4 years. It was letting people in here left and right. So now all of a sudden now they're trying to get people out. So we already know where this is going, so they already setting up these facilities left and right, moving in, warp speed. All of a sudden now they want everyone out. They want to, you have to be a citizen. But so we seeing what this is leading to. It's going into identification. Also, it's getting ready to go into surveillance and monitoring, and tracking. So we see how this is going. So it's another one I got here. This one here, we're just going to probably read the title of this one here. It says here's this one here by American Civil Liberty Union. It says Supreme Court limits nationwide injunction potentially allowing, let's open it up, allowing, it's all these pop-ups, says allowing partial enforcement of Trump birthright citizenship order. So right here, at first I think it got blocked, whereby they trying to say that they are blocking the Supreme Court order, on that executive order he put out, I think maybe a couple of months ago, whereby if a person is born here, they can say that they're still not a citizen, or if both of the parents, if they are not legal, they can say that the unborn child is not a citizen also. So it's so many different things that they're coming at, attacking people of color. So we already know right here that this is only targeting people of color. We already know that Jacob's trouble is pretty much at the door. So I got a video on this too to bring it out with a little bit more. We probably read just a little bit of it. It says Washington, it said in a troubling but limited decision on President Trump's birthright citizenship order, said the U.S. Supreme Court today took a stand against universal injunctions and set the temporary injunction against the Trump order back for the lower courts to consider the scope of their orders. He said the ruling potentially opens the door for a partial enforcement of President Trump executive order targeting birthright citizenship, putting thousands of U.S.-born children at risk of being denied their constitutional rights based on the citizenship status of their parents. So, however, the courts stated that the executive order will not go into effect for at least 30 days. So right here, so right now they saying once 30 days is up, this partial enforcement would go in effect. So so just like I say, it's saying that they're going to be targeting birthright citizenship, putting U.S. born children at risk of being denied. You know what I'm saying? So that's where we at right now. So they trying everywhere that you looking around is that, you got to prove this, you got to prove that. So all this is boiling down to that grain of rice. We seeing it happening right before our eyes. So right now, this is another unrighteous decree that they have prescribed. So that's all we're going to get out of this. But we constantly watching it close. So we know that the devil's getting ready to come down with great wrath. So now let's go here and get this quick precept. So we seeing right now this man is building prisons, he's building these facilities, the so-called detention centers. We call them concentration centers. We call them shipping centers. All sorts of things they coming up with. Also, we know they get ready to come with that guillotine if you do not accept this under your skin. So this is where we at right now. We're seeing these things that happen rolling out right before. Let's get this right quick. It says here, therefore rejoice, ye heavens, and ye that dwell in them. Woe to the inhabitants of the earth and of the sea, for the devil is come down unto you, having great wrath, because he knowing that he has but a short time. And that's about when you go into that word devil goes into diabolos, someone that sides with the devil or the physical counterpart, of Satan, which in fact is the so-called white man, the devil that the Bible speaks of, an adversary, someone that is slanderous, someone that put out all sorts of lies and deception. This is the devil that the Bible speaks of, the so-called white man. So right now, knowing that his time is very short, that's why he's trying to put his agenda into place, total control. Also now, we know that it has started with the northern tribe, and also we know it's going to start with the southern tribe very soon. It's called Jacob's Trouble. So this is pretty much targeting people of color, whether you believe it or not. And one thing about the men of the Lord, we constantly warning you left and right. This devil is getting ready to come down with great wrath. And one thing about it, but when he do, the Lord got a plan for him also. The Lord's going to lift up that standard. So now let's go to this one here. Let's go here about these unrighteous decrees. We're seeing that the Supreme Court blocked that order, but now they're saying that it's going to the lower courts, and that he blocked the Supreme Court order. So it's kind of like back and forth, kind of a little confusion, but that's what he wants, this order out of chaos. But I got a video to bring it out with a little bit more edification. Let's go here to Isaiah chapter 10, and I got some more videos too also. Let's see here, Isaiah chapter 10 and verse 1. Let's get this right quick. It said, woe unto them that decree unrighteous decrees. It said, and that right grievousness which they have prescribed are authorized. So it says here, when you first started, it said, woe means destruction. It said to them that decree unrighteous decrees, and that decree go into a law or an executive order, what I'm saying? So that's what they're trying to bring into place. So that's reading in NLT. He said, what sorrow awaits the unjust judges and those who issue unfair laws. So that's exactly what they're doing, issuing these unfair laws, these unrighteous decrees, so they, to give them that advantage, which in fact is total control. And one thing about it, to make you a petrol slave, to give you that badge of servitude. So now let's start today's video. And after the video, we'll start the lesson. And once again, I hope that you will get edified.
Buckle the fuck up, because Florida just went full on fucking Florida. Again, y'all ready for this shit? Just approved. And I swear I'm not making this shit up. Construction of an off-the-grid detention center, smack dab in the middle of Alligator Alley. Alligator fucking Alcatraz. I can't even. Only Florida looks at the Everglades, 30 fucking square miles of swamp, gators, and pythons, and God knows what the fuck else, and says perfect spot for a prison. They already broke ground Monday, and by August, 5,000 beds, surrounded by nothing but prehistoric murder lizards and snakes that can swallow you whole. And they loving it down there. They're literally bragging. If they escape Ain't nothing out there but alligators and pythons. Nowhere to go, nowhere to hide. This ain't a damn detention center. This is Florida outsourcing border security to National Geographic's deadliest fucking killers. If you break out, you ain't dodging ICE. You dodging Steve Irwin's worst nightmares. But hey, it's Florida. You either retire there, get arrested there, or become gator food. It's a circle of life in the swamp. This detention center comes with a built-in fucking Hunger Games death round. Wanna run? Better lace up those Air Maxes tight. But remember, kids, gators do 35 miles an hour in water. Congratulations, you're an appetizer with sneakers. Florida, America's gun range and reptile sanctuary, all wrapped in one. So yeah, welcome to Alligator Alcatraz, the only place where if you break out, the warden is a 12-foot gator named Earl who skipped breakfast and still has to get his cardio in.
So while hundreds of 911 calls from detention centers have been discovered, ranging from heart conditions to unlivable situations, sleeping on floors for weeks, being fed a cup of rice and water once a day, and ICE, of course, denies it all. They decide that let's make a mockery of all of this and build this.
The street behind me. This is where officials say nature provides security, others see vulnerabilities. Its barbed chain link gates stay open night and day, letting drivers deliver generators the size of 18-wheel truck cabs, trailers, and one continual stream of heavy equipment. Alligator Alcatraz, we're ready to go. All of it to build a temporary detention in Miami-Dade's abandoned 39-square-mile airstrip in the Everglades during hurricane season. Within the next month or two, authorities plan to send 1,000 migrants facing deportation.
The U.S. Supreme Court ruled that the Trump administration can move forward with some very key policies like the executive order ending birthright citizenship. The court did not rule on the constitutionality of birthright citizenship itself. What it did rule on is the ability of a court or a district court judge to be able to issue a nationwide injunction stopping the policies from going into effect. This is a 6-3 decision, but this decision did say that the executive order on birthright citizenship will not go into effect until 30 days, until the parties have an opportunity to continue with their litigation and weigh in on the issues that are before the courts at this time. Just so you know, 28 states did not sue to stop the birthright citizenship executive order from going into effect. What that means, friends, is that after 30 days, those states will be able to enforce that executive order by denying citizenship to babies, newly born babies who aren't here yet. Newly born babies will be denied of the right to be U.S. citizens in those states. And just to refresh your memory, the executive order says that children who are born of undocumented parents, meaning both parents do not have a green card or U.S. citizenship, those children will not be considered U.S. citizens. In addition to children who are born of foreigners who are here legally on a visa, and yet the child is born here on U.S. soil, those children will not be considered a U.S. citizen either unless one of the parent is a lawful permanent resident or a citizen. Guys, this is big news. I'm covering all things related to Trump immigration changes.
So now we're seeing right now that these ICE patrol, they're coming up with a new thing whereby they're trying to build these fast track so-called immigration detention centers, house saying 1,000, but we already know that it's going to be into the thousands. So they're fast tracking it. So a lot of people that are going to go to these facilities are not coming out. So we already know what they're getting ready to do, round you up and also tracking and tagging, you know what I'm saying? So that grain of rice is coming very soon, but we already know that this is going to cause civil unrest, a civil war. So we already know that things are constantly picking up. These prophecies are speaking loud and clear. So now let's start today's lesson. We'll start here in Psalm chapter 37. We'll start at go straight to the point, verse 12. We're seeing right now they're plotting against the just. So let's start here. It says Psalm chapter 37 and verse 12 said the wicked plotteth against the just and gnashes upon him with his teeth. So out of the Bible, we are knowing about who is the wicked, the so-called white man, the devil that the Bible speaks of. He's plotted against the just, which in fact are the people of color, the Negroes, the Latinos, the Native Indians, and gnashed upon him with his teeth, with his military might, his technology. And also, we know that they're coming with these unrighteous decrees that they have prescribed, so that's exactly what they're doing. We're seeing them right now. They're constantly plotting, trying to get that advantage, trying to get total control. And one thing about it, keep saying about trying to get illegals out of America. But one thing about it, we know the main agenda is total control. And one thing about it, that, we already know what the devils get ready to try to do. And one thing about it, we constantly warn you left and right. A lot of people think that they don't have enemy. And that's about the Lord already said in Sirach chapter, I think it's Sirach chapter 12 and verse 10, you'll never trust thy enemy. As iron rusteth, so is his wickedness. So this man is getting ready to show his horns very soon. And out about it, this man is getting ready to lose his mind. So he's constantly plotting. He's constantly trying to get that advantage. And we seeing it happening right before our eyes. But the Lord said his hands will not be able to perform his enterprise. So verse 13 said, the Lord shall laugh at him, for he seeth that his day is coming. So one thing about it, the Lord's getting ready to judge this man. You know what I'm saying? His wickedness has reaches into the sky. And one thing about it, the Lord is visiting the earth that he created. That's why we're constantly seeing it. These prophecies are constantly speaking left and right. We're seeing these events. We seeing that this red devil is moving in warp speed. The Lord has made Esau bare. He cannot hide himself anymore. You know what I'm saying? It's plain and simple. People pretty much knowing exactly what this man is doing. Let's read in the NLT. He said, but the Lord just laughs, for he sees their day of judgment coming. So we also see the day of judgment coming. The Lord is getting ready to bring forth that recompense in judgment. Judgment is now at hand. And also one thing about it, our salvation is at the door. Verse 14 said, the wicked have drawn out the sword and have bent their bow to cast down the poor and needy and to slay such as be of upright conversation. Now, everybody, we're seeing right now that the wicked have drawn out the sword and have bent the bow. Right now they're ready to go. So the devil's getting ready to fill his belly, his agenda, his plan. You know what I'm saying? We already know what that plan is: total control, the NWO, and also this new digital infrastructure system that they're putting into play left and right. You will not be able to buy or sell. You will not be able to do a damn thing if you're not taking under your skin. And anyone that will not bow down should be unalive. So we're coming upon this time. So that's what's going to happen in a lot of these so-called detention centers, which in fact we know them as concentration camp. We know them as FEMA camp. The devil shall cast some of you into prison. So we are very close, man. We here. It says here, it says to cast down the poor and needy. Who is the poor and needy? You know what I'm saying? Which in fact is Israel. We're talking about the Negro, the Latinos, the Native Indians. It said, and to slay such as be of upright conversation. Let's talk about, once again, the elect, and one thing about it, and one that oppose what they're doing. And one thing we're seeing it right now, that they already got everything ready to go. The stage is set, all things are ready, but the Lord is getting ready to disappoint him. Verse 15 says, their sword shall enter into their own heart, and their bows shall be broken. So one thing about it is what the Lord is getting ready to do. The Lord is getting ready to cast him down. The Lord is getting ready to take this man out of the way. And we cannot wait, so we are very close to this time. So he's in for a rude awakening. So now let's go here. I've been quoting it. Let's go here to Revelation chapter 2 and verse 10. Revelation chapter 2 and verse 10. So this is exactly what we're seeing. They constantly putting these fast tracking these so-called detention centers or concentration camp, these FEMA camp, these chipping station. They didn't. Also, we already know a lot of people are going to go in, but they're not going to come back out. They're already saying down in the Florida Everglades, if you tried to escape, I think that's somewhere around Alligator Alley. Also, ain't nothing but alligators everywhere you look. Why do they want to put people in a place like that? So you already know that this devil, you know what I'm saying, he's getting ready to come down with great wrath. And also, if you escape, they're going to just let the nature. And also, it's like a hunting reservation somewhere out there also, I think, if I'm not mistaken, that, hey, you're going to be just hunted. You're going to just be game for for the alligators and the python, also for the so-called white man. This is exactly what he wants. He wants to try to exterminate the people of the Lord, but he's in for a rude awakening. So now, Revelation chapter 2 and verse 10 said, fear none of those things which thou shalt suffer. Behold, the devil shall cast some of you into prison, said that ye may be tried, and ye shall have tribulation 10 days. Said, be thou faithful unto death, and I will give thee a crown of life. So one thing about it, we see it right now, the Lord said, fear none of those things. And not about to trust and believe in Yahweh Ba'ashim Abishai. You know, your faith is getting ready to be tried. The hour of temptation, the hour of testing is coming upon us at a fast pace. But the Lord said right here, you know, the devil should cast some of you into prison. So we seeing that they're building these facilities, these detention centers around America and beyond. Also, they were saying that there are a lot of these ICE patrol, you know, they get them, and also they've been shipping them out to El Salvador and also different other parts of South America. You know, you could go to a prison down there and never come back again. So we already seeing what this devil is doing. So we already know he's getting ready to make his move. But when he make his move, the Lord is going to make his move. That the Lord is going to lift up that standard, a way to escape. Supernatural intervention is getting ready to come into play. You know what I'm saying? The Lord is getting ready to redeem his elect. So one thing about it, trust and believe in Yahweh Ba'ashim Abishai, even in death. So let's read this once again. In the NLT said, don't be afraid of what you are about to suffer. Said the devil will throw some of you into prison to test you. Say you will suffer for 10 days, but if you remain faithful, even when facing death, I will give you of the crown of life. And that about, you know, that's talking about, you know, power over the nation, you know, immortality, rulership. But we already know through much tribulation, we shall enter the kingdom of heaven. So, you know, through much violence, through much persecution, through much death, mourning and sorrow, you know what I'm saying, we will get there. The Lord said he would give thee a crown of life, even in death. And that about the Lord have power over life and death. And one thing about it, that we're here, it's at the door. You're seeing that the stage is set, all things are ready. So these things are going to constantly wrap up. They're going to constantly pick up. They're constantly putting these unrighteous decrees into play, constantly telling, you know, hey, we talking about this birthright citizenship. You know, it's constantly targeting people of color. So one thing about it, you have an enemy. It's the so-called white man, the devil that the Bible speaks of, and also these heathen nations, and also these wicked two-thirds that's constantly have that Gentile mindset, you know, love everyone. The Lord love everyone. Everyone can be saved. That's all just trying to get along. I forgive you. But one thing about it, you know, the Lord is getting ready to destroy these wicked two-thirds, also these wicked heathens. And we cannot wait. So now, let's go to our last and final script. Let's go here to Psalm chapter 17. We'll close out here. Psalm chapter 17. Psalm chapter 17 and verse 13. We go straight to the point. And it reads, it said, arise, O Lord, disappoint him, cast him down, to deliver my soul from the wicked, which is thy sword. And out about you, we already know who is the Lord's sword. That is the so-called white man, the devil that the Bible speaks of. And also when you go to Genesis chapter 27, around 39 through 40, it'll tell you about his blessing, which in fact was the sword. You know what I'm saying? Out about that's how he got control of the whole earth. You know, robbing, stealing, killing. You know, that's what he did, shed blood from here, from left to right. But the Lord is getting ready to cast him down. The Lord is getting ready to disappoint him. So we cannot wait. So let's read this once again in the NLT. Psalm chapter 17, verse 13 in the NLT. So arise, O Lord, stand against them and bring them to their knees. Rescue me from the wicked with your sword. And that about us what the Lord is going to do. That sword goes also into judgment. So the Lord is getting ready to show up and show out. The Lord is getting ready to deliver his elect, even though even facing death, or some of us, we know they're going to have to be martyrs for this truth. But one thing about even in that, the Lord is going to give you a crown of life, you know, power over the nation, you know, immortality, rulership, spiritual power is right around the corner. But we already know that we got to go through much tribulation. You know, we're going to be tried. We're going to be tested. But the Lord already said in our second Ezra chapter 16. Let's get that. We close that there. Second Ezra chapter 16. Let's go to this one here. I think it's around 73 or 72, somewhere. You know, it's second Ezra chapter 16. I think it's around verse 70. Let's try 73 first. I think this is what I want. It says here, 2 Ezra chapter 16 and verse 73 said, then shall they be known who are my chosen, and they shall be tried as gold in the fire. So one thing about it, we're going to go through these adversities, these trials, these great tribulation. But one thing about it, they shall be known. What I'm saying? Who is the Lord chosen, which in fact is the elect, the true believers of Yahweh, Ba'ashim Yahushua. Even though we're going to go through the fire, but one thing about it, we will get to the kingdom of heaven that dwells in righteousness. We know that we are very close. And then shall they know, then shall they be known who are my chosen, and they shall be tried as gold in the fire. The devil shall cast some of you into prisons, these facilities, these concentration camps, these FEMA camps, and the list go on and on. But whatever we're facing, we're not even worried about that. The Lord is going to make it plain upon the table who are his chosen. In that day, they shall know that a prophet was among them. Verse 74 said, "Hear, O ye, my beloved, says the Lord, behold, the days of trouble are at hand, but I will deliver you from the same." Verse 75 said, "But be ye not afraid, neither doubt, for the Almighty Yahweh Ba'ashim Yahushua is your guide." So that's all we must do. The Lord is going to guide us. The Lord is going to provide for us. The Lord is going to sustain us in those times of trouble. All we must do is constantly what? Trust and believe in Yahweh Ba'ashim Yahushua. The Lord said he will deliver us from all these trouble. You know what I'm saying? Hey, man, we're here, man. The Lord will be our guide. So the title of the day lesson, once again, is "The devil shall cast some of you into prison." So I like to give all praises and honor and glory to Yahweh Ba'ashim Yahushua Ba'ashim Rikah Kwadash. I like to say, Shalom. Shalom.